As perhaps there are those who didn't see that coming, while others just thought, who knows? Yeah, that may be what we want. Giving some headlines where some celebrate, others just wonder if it will affect the ongoing process. We're talking about the resignation of Professor Barth Nnaji. Well, the development in the power sector now, how will that affect anything? Or at what point are we? How well or otherwise are we doing? Well, Sam Omatseye joins us now. He's the chairman, editorial board of the Nation newspapers. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Well, at this moment now, we see so many reports making the rounds, speculations concerning what must have happened. Well, your headline says, ex-heads of state governance fight dirty over power firms, intrigues here and there. But from what you've seen, following this story, then this resignation, do you think that eventually we're going to even get this uninterrupted power supply that we seek?
I wonder indeed. The resignation of, or the firing of Barth Nnaji is actually a reflection of the fact that it is very difficult to be a good man in this system.
Why do you call it firing?
Well, we know it is firing. It's forced resignation. Nnaji can say it resigned voluntarily. I don't think many people believe that.
Why do you think he was
Because
forced?
of the way it happened. I mean, there is an issue of, there's a belief that there's an issue of conflict of interest concerning his company. And the matter was brought to the president, and the president found that it was boxed in, and they had to ask the man to leave in order to satiate all those people who don't want him there.
You know, Mr. Omatseye, I was excited knowing you were coming on this program because...
Excited?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Because you know, journalists today sometimes get scoops. You know, and now you used
so he should have one.
Yes, I think
perhaps
when he started, he said, well, his resignation or perhaps his firing. So I'll take the firing. Now let's look at it, because even some other newspapers put the headline as him being sacked.
Yes.
So the issues before leading up to all of that sack or resignation. Some actually said he had some kind of interest, even though we also saw the electricity workers all time and again talk about that particular interest. But let's not forget that he also said he told them from the very first day of his interest, and how he actually has resigned from those from the board of those companies. Isn't that, or wasn't that enough for him to have actually been asked to leave then? Why did we have to wait till this moment before he was asked or he was pushed out?
That is what I meant by it's difficult to be a good man in this system. The man was not only owner of a business that was in the industry. He was instrumental to major projects as the owner of the business. And it was on the basis of that he was appointed special advisor and later minister in that ministry. Which means that the president knew, the security people knew, he knew himself, and anybody who was responsible for his hiring knew that Barth Nnaji was already a stakeholder in that industry. And he made it known that he was putting this thing in a sort of remission, in a form of a blind trust. And that means he was going to recuse himself of any form of attachment to that business. But then, it becomes a critical issue. The fact that you have put it into a blind trust, will that itself obviate the possibility of a conflict of interest? The question is no.
Why? How?
Because you wouldn't expect that a company such as Geometrics one of the key players and actually performing players in the industry, given what he did in Abuja and the East, would not have been expected not to have put in his bid. Now, as Minister of Power, he was supposed to be out of the ken of the activities. So that means he was not supposed to know whether they were going to bid, and he was not supposed to stop them because he had no power to do that. He was not supposed to encourage them, which meant that no matter how you looked at it, we were all doomed to that moment where we will be asked to deal with the issue of conflict of interest. And conflict of interest is itself an act of corruption. And conflict of interest itself is not permitted by law. Now the question is this. He was given an oath of office to swear. Who administered the oath?
So
who presided over it?
They should have checked out.
Yes. I mean, you have to know all of this before you hire them.
Okay.
So when you are saying that Barth Nnaji had conflict of interest, he knew about this and so on, yes, he knew about that. Was it naivety on his part? Yes. He probably felt that, well, I want to serve my country. That itself will not matter if whatever happens to geometrics when I'm in office. If they want to bid, they could bid. Whether I knew about it and he couldn't stop them, whether I could have stopped them underneath, that's irrelevant. The question is, why was it that a key player in the industry such as he would be hired to do a job in which it was expected that a conflict of interest was inevitable? And if it was not expected by the president or by his advisors that it was inevitable, it would be an act of incompetence, an act of naivety on the part of the president. They would expect that would not happen.
Okay. But
so I'm not finishing my point.
Okay.
The point though is that Barth Nnaji thought that, well, if this conflict of interest thing is going to be dealt with, well, I'm actually doing it in blind faith that the president who hired me is probably going to give me a cover, since he's supposed to know that there is an oath and there are procedures to hiring people. Well, when he got to the crunch, the president did not give him the cover and the law caught up with him.